So against internet commenter advice, I decided to GC my own house, right? I think it came out pretty well, but check out the journey, learn how to build a house yourself, and don't be too afraid to try something you're uncomfortable with.
All right, good morning. Cold and wet day, but a day that we work is a day that this project gets done sooner, so I don't mind that. We obviously had to put some RCA, which is recycled concrete, down on the ground here. Right now we're doing the French drains and pouring stone in the foundation. Who doesn't like some good machinery? What you're looking at here, this is going to be both covering they call it a weeping tile or French drain, depending on where you are. The French drain allows for the water that comes up against the house to get shuttled off and not sit or go through the foundation. That's why we did those pass-through pipes here. But this goes around the entire base of the house. And you can see where the water can enter it, the holes. And you'll see the pipe, and down here, like, you'll see this vertical pipe is going to allow for water to pass through. This is going to be the window above us, the escape window from the basement. That's going to make its way all the way around. And then it's going to be covered in rocks, so the water can come through, and it gets covered in fabric so that the soil doesn't come through and clog it. Then the rest of the stones here, because you're like, wow, that's a lot of rocks, the rest of the stones are going to level off the basement or the bottom here and fill in the footing. Now the only thing that we have to do after that is we're going to have two hunch slabs here for support, which I guess we could have poured when we did the foundation or we did the footings, but it's essentially like a part of the footing that will be for support of the interior walls. But this whole thing is going to be filled here with rock and bring it up to this level. All right, so we'll leave them to finish this up, put the sump pit in, and do the French drains and fill it with rocks. You can time lapse that, and we'll be back shortly. I'm going to go home and shower because I feel gross. And I thought it was being cool, bought the cheapest boots on Amazon to get muddy, but they're not very good. They're definitely not waterproof. Tried to rinse them off in a puddle like you usually do with your muddy waterproof boots, and I felt my feet. Never a good thing. And here you are. As you can tell, looks a lot different now. This is ready for framing. We've got the French drains all in. We've got 12 inches of rock filling in essentially everything around the perimeter. They're going to be putting fabric down to prevent any mud from getting into the French drains. And then we can get these framers in to start framing the walls. Here it is. This is the finished, ready to go. I mean, obviously we'll straighten the rebar down here. You can see the pit for the sump pump there. It's got a cork in it right now, but the French drains are underneath. Everything has been covered in the protective canvas to protect any sediment you see, because you have a lot of cave-ins going around the site. And then we have 12 inches of stone in the middle of everything, and we're ready to do the walls. Just so you have an idea of how far along we are in this project, this is December 30th. Tomorrow's New Year's. So we started this project from demo to now. This is 24 days, including 2 holidays and nobody working weekends. So it is coming along and it is making pretty good progress. The key to getting these things done is sort of, I mean, we could have probably not worked today because of the rain, but every day that you save is a day closer to getting your project finished sooner. I've actually got to dip over to CES tomorrow, so I'm not going to be on site. It's the first time I've lost time on the job. It's the mason. Obviously, they only have so many forms that they can set up, and we were ready before New Year's Eve to come out and sort of frame the walls. That was last Monday. This is the following Monday. We've got the guys on site here, and they're getting ready. Here's, you can see the power company is out here, going to be removing this pole, and we're also setting up temp power over there. I'll get down and show you that in a second. Obviously, there's no wall frames on site yet, but you could see we had the engineer come out and pin the corners, which are with little nails. Now we're just shooting chalk lines here. These will be the outside of the form, and you see the chalk lines are based off of still those reference points. We straighten this stuff out. The rebar doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but it made it easier to get in here with the truck. We shoot these chalk lines. Again, that'll be the outside of the wall. The inside will be somewhere here. And we'll square it off. Once the frames are up, we'll do an actual measurement, make sure it's all exactly to what we're looking for. It can't, obviously, if you're off by even an inch, everything in the house is going to be off by an inch. So you got to get, this is a very exact part of the process. You could see they had to do a couple lines here just to make sure that they get it absolutely where it's supposed to be, and it will true up. So we'll have the forms come in a little bit later. You'll see that coming together. You see over here is a bunch of rebar that's going to be used. We're going to use a lot of rebar. Holds everything together. But here you see this is going to be the drain. This is where the escape window is going to be from the basement. So you have that connecting to the French drains. And I'm excited. Let me show you over here. This big sparky thing. I love it. It's a big sparky thing. That is, I'm learning as I go. Terminology. But we'll jump up here and I'll show you what they're doing with the temporary power. Temporary power allows us to have everything on site without needing generators and everything. It saves a bunch of gas, saves a bunch of noise, and just more pleasant all the way around. Because virtually everybody from the framers to the finishers all need some sort of power. So here you see the power pole going up. That's the temp. And that's grounded. You see them digging in the ground. They're putting a ground bar in there. It's all the codes worked out with the utility company. They finally put a number on my pole. They've run power to it. And we're coming along. I'm going to come back in a little bit and we'll check out when they start putting the walls up. But until then, there's a lot of stuff happening today, which is good. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to this. Stay tuned. On site now, we've got the walls starting to come up. We've got more frames. I want to call them frames. I'm going to have the terminology wrong half the time, but there are the frames that link together with all of these holes, and they frame out. You can see the rough openings now. They're going to frame out the walls, and that'll allow us to support the weight of the concrete when it comes in. They all get latched together, and pretty soon you'll see the entire shape of the house, or at least the exterior walls of the house, be poured into these. They will harden and we could start the framing process. One of the things I was confused about early on before I got into the process is I thought everything got poured at the same time, basement and all. That's not the case. The basement will be poured afterwards. Right now, we just take care of these walls. And you can see, remember, these were all bent down for access. Obviously, you could just bend them right back up and start framing together the exterior walls. Exciting, right? I like this. My job here, you can see they're leaving the room over there. We got to frame out the window. The only thing I have to do here is obviously make sure the measurements are right, and then make sure that the window gets carved out so they don't pour concrete where the escape window is going to be from the basement. And then I've got some pass-throughs that are going on the walls. And the pass-throughs are allowing for the gas line, the water line to come through, and then the sewage line to go out. The electric comes up and over the wall, and the internet also would do the same. So we're coming along. Hopefully we get this done ideally today, but the progress we're making right now, it looks like it may be tomorrow. And then good news is, as cold as it is now, we're on the upswing, and it's going to warm up to almost 70 degrees this weekend. I have no idea why, but that is good temperature in which to pour concrete. Actually perfect temperature for a day or two. It gets cool at night again, but the daytime highs are pretty good. We got the cut-in card for the electric, went out, got inspected by the town inspector. He sends the cut-in card over to the utility. Utility sends their inspector, and then they hook up power. I got a porta-john coming on site today, or it should be today, and we'll keep making progress, so stay tuned. And let me just show you where we're at. Down here in the hole, you get a better idea. Clearly we should have more than enough framing. But let's sneak in. I'll show you what these junctures look like. And obviously this isn't tapped into place yet, but you have these chalk lines which frame everything out, and these are held together. You put a pin through, and you have these metal things, which are these, which end up staying in the wall, and you sandwich the things together. You drive a little spike in, and that's how you keep the walls together and prevent the pressure from all the cement from breaking them open. You can see the rebar is gridded out, held together with these little wire ties. And you'll see what the finished corner would look like here. This is what the inside of the wall is going to be. And you can see how this all just follows. Don't look at the outside of the line, look at the inside of the line. That chalk line is specifically measured to these pins, and that marks the inside of the frame. They put these things down, and then they sort of hammer them in. This one, I believe, may have a different juncture here, because I think we're going to fill this in, obviously, with concrete. A little peek inside as to what the rebar looks like. But this isn't going to be load bearing. This is just going to be a little patio up here when all is said and done. But you've got these corner pieces. Obviously, it all fits together. It's modular, so it all fits together. How do you make these uneven surfaces? Like, how do you make these different shapes? Well, that's pretty easy. Let me show you where those pieces are. They almost have fins on them, like they flap. Here you go. So you can literally make, and you can get these in round or whatever, but you can literally make whatever shape that you need because those are hinged. So between this combination of it's called concrete Lego pieces, you could sort of build anything you want, and then when you pour concrete in, it's exactly what you want it to be. Here you see the little pieces. This is all the stuff that goes in there. So tomorrow we'll wrap this up. We still got the time lapse going, and we'll be back to show you what the entire footprint is going to look like and take it from there. All right, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. So these are our elevations, and we have to see where these footers are in relation to the elevations. We're supposed to have 10-foot 4-inch walls. The 10-foot 4-inch walls allowed for a 10-foot basement ceiling, and then the 4 inches, because once these forms come off, there's going to be 4 inches of concrete. Just say the finished basement, or the basement slab is going to be right about there. So let them finish wrapping this up. We'll get to the elevations, we'll get to the other stuff that I have to do, which is the water line coming through here. We got to have the pipe through the wall here. That's going to be for the septic. And then we're going to have 2 pipes through the wall over here. One for the water line, one for the gas line. Those are the only things that I have to do. And then the escape window there from the basement. I just have to get, I've got the size of it. It's going to be 5 feet by 4 foot 4 inches. But we have to get the exact elevation from the bottom. And I just want to make sure we get this right. See these things? This is, these allow for that 12-inch differential. You can use these same forms and make a 1-inch wall or a 12-inch or 30-inch wall, whatever you want. But this is going to be where the escape window is, fireplace, and then the rest of the house. I mean, obviously, you can look, not too big, but it's going to be nice, I promise. All right, we're here on site. Obviously, the honeymoon with the weather is over. It's back to being cold, and we're just about wrapping up here. Here you can see that wood that they've got up there is to create a reverse brick shelf. So you'll see that the wall is at different heights here, right? So the wall, this is going to be the finished wall on this side. We're pouring it. It's going to be 9 feet 8 inches tall. You'll see here on the plan, all the orange is going to have a reverse brick shelf. So all the stuff that you see that's going taller than the rest of the wall is to accommodate for the reverse brick shelf. A reverse brick shelf, let me see if I have detail on it here. Perfect. Is this. So this is allowing the back of the wall to be taller and the elevation of the floor to be the same. This allows for more concrete against the back, against the slope. So when you have water come down or anything like that, it's hitting concrete instead of siding. That's just a little bit of a cheat to get some extra height out of the concrete to further waterproof the property and prevent from rot or anything like that. They would do a brick shelf. A standard brick shelf would be if it's the opposite way and say this is the outside, and then you would use this to stack your bricks up to finish the exterior look of your house. I just got a piece of 2-inch piping. If you see here, this is the last of the stuff. Other than the window that we had to put in, you have the pipe that goes through the wall. The pipe through the wall is for both the gas and water lines to come into the building. We've got those coming in at the utility room here. If you look at the map here, the gas line's coming in here. The water line's coming from over here, but we're going to sneak it in that way. I want it to come in over here just so if we ever have any issues and we have to dig down, we don't have to dig under a covered porch or anything like that. It'll be easier to get access to. So as you can see, they'll wrap up. We're going to have the concrete truck come tomorrow. We've had this inspected already, so we're good to go as far as that's concerned. Next inspection is going to be after we do this. We take the forms off, we waterproof the basement, or at least the concrete. Once it's waterproofed and we're ready to backfill, then we'll have the inspector come back out, take a look, and proceed forward from there. Then it's framing. Framing is going to be fun. Framing is when you're going to see the house crop up real quick. There's a lot of progress there very quickly, and I'm excited for that. So I've got my wood. I'm waiting for my last takeoff today. We'll have the wood on order in the next, say, 48 hours, and that'll all be good. I mean, most of the stuff is in stock, but anything that we need that's specialty will get coming in. I've got the window order getting ready to be placed now. That's going to take about 6 weeks, but as you can see, these guys are absolute animals when it comes to like climbing on stuff that I would just fall down and impale myself. These guys are doing it with finesse. I mean, there is something about hiring a skilled trade, and these guys know what they're doing. I'm walking or watching them being like, this guy's gonna fall, and they never do, which is absolutely astonishing. My favorite comment is when I put pictures on Instagram, people say, that's not a big house. What's the point? It's not supposed to be a big house. It's supposed to be the right size house. See, they're chalking that chalk line, the thing he's got there. And they're chalking the height of the finished pour to make sure it's all even. Couple whacks with the trusty hammer. There's Desouza. If you guys want to use him, talk to Sylvano and tell him he came from me, and I want to commission off of that. That would be cool. Here we got the actual power setup coming over, and the power is now metered and connected. I got this here, which is a bucket. It's an empty bucket right now, but I'm going to put a coffee maker in it so people can make hot chocolate and coffee without having to go off of site. That's not to keep people on site, that's to be convenient. They can still go off site. There's no rules I have that they can't, but if they can get free coffee on site, I think that's a nice little touch that most places wouldn't have until the walls go up. But stay tuned. We'll be making lots of moves in the next 2 weeks, and we'll keep you in the loop. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.